The church bells echoed through the air, sweet and heavy like a melody meant to strangle me. I sat quietly in the back pew, my palms sweating against the wooden surface, watching her glide down the aisle like a vision I was never meant to touch. She was breathtaking, her hair pinned in a soft bun, her dress hugging every curve that I once knew better than anyone else. The veil framed her delicate face, and even from the distance, I could see the shimmer of tears caught in her eyes. Her name tasted like honey on my tongue, though I dared not whisper it. Amelia. My Amelia. But she wasn't mine anymore. She belonged to him, the man standing at the altar with his polished smile and proud stance. He thought he had won, thought he was about to bind her with vows that would lock her away from me forever. The truth burned through my chest like wildfire. I had loved her first. I had loved her in ways no man could ever understand, in nights spent tangled between sheets where laughter and gasps blended into something too sacred to name. And yet, here she was, ready to promise herself to someone else. As the music swelled, I felt the weight of our history crashing over me. Forbidden touches in darkened hallways, kisses stolen beneath the stars, the night she whispered she was mine, forever. But forever had an expiration date, it seemed. My heart pounded. I knew I couldn't just sit there and let this happen. I had already crossed too many lines with her. Too many secrets were buried between our bodies. I leaned forward, my breath shaky, my hands trembling. The wedding was beautiful, yes, but it was a lie. And I wasn't going to let her live that lie. Because Amelia belonged with me. And I was going to ruin this wedding. Amelia's voice floated through the air as she began to recite the vows she had written for him. Each word was like a dagger twisting into me, but behind her poised expression, I saw the flicker, the one no one else noticed. Her lips trembled, her eyes darted for just a second, and I knew she was thinking of me. Because how could she not? She had promised forever once before, but it was in whispers against my skin, in kisses pressed to my lips, in tears shed after she admitted she had never wanted anyone else the way she wanted me. I could still remember the taste of her that night, the way her body curled into mine like we were designed to fit together. Those memories weren't just mine, they were hers too. I shifted in the pew, my throat dry. I should have left when I had the chance. Watching her marry him was nothing short of torture, but I was addicted to her presence, to the pull she had over me. She was a gravity I couldn't escape. And then it happened. Her eyes found me. It wasn't a glance, not a fleeting sweep of the room. It was deliberate. She looked straight at me, and in that second, the world stopped. My chest clenched, heat rushing through me. She faltered on her words, her voice cracking just enough to make the priest clear his throat. Everyone thought it was nerves. But I knew better. She was remembering. Remembering the way my hands had once explored every inch of her. Remembering the night she whispered that no one else could ever make her feel the way I did. Remembering the forbidden intimacy we shared that made this entire wedding feel like a betrayal. The groom squeezed her hand gently, steadying her, and I nearly choked on my rage. How dare he touch her as if she were his to comfort? How dare he think he could love her the way I did? I clenched my fists, torn between restraint and recklessness. If I stayed quiet, she would walk out of here as his wife, locked into a life that wasn't truly hers. But if I acted, if I let my truth explode into the silence, I would shatter her world in front of everyone she loved. But maybe it needed to be shattered. Because she wasn't his. She was mine. And I wasn't about to lose her. I leaned back, my chest rising with a deep breath. My body was alive with tension, trembling with the memory of every forbidden kiss, every night her body had intertwined with mine. I could almost feel her lips against my ear again, whispering, "Don't let me go." No matter how many people stood in this church, no matter how sacred these vows pretended to be, Amelia and I had already written ours. And now, I was ready to claim her. The ceremony dragged forward, but the tension between us was alive, electric, as if everyone else had faded into background noise. My pulse hammered in my ears, louder than the organ music, louder than the hushed whispers of guests fanning themselves in the pews. Amelia's gaze flicked to me again, sharp and desperate, like a silent plea. Her lips trembled when she spoke his name, but her voice faltered, as if even the sound of it didn't belong in her mouth. My nails dug into the wood of the pew. I couldn't take it anymore. When the priest said, "If anyone objects, speak now or forever hold your peace," I stood before I even realized my legs were moving. The room gasped. Heads turned. My heart threatened to leap out of my chest, but my eyes never left hers. "I object," I said, my voice raw but steady. The groom's smile collapsed into fury, his jaw clenching as he stared at me. The priest stuttered, unsure of what to do. But Amelia, oh, Amelia, her eyes widened, her lips parting like she had been waiting for me all along. "This isn't right," I continued, my chest rising and falling with each breath. "You can't marry him, Amelia. Because you don't love him. You never did." The silence in the church was suffocating. I felt the weight of dozens of stares burning into me, but all I saw was her. Her veil shimmered as she turned toward me fully. Tears spilled down her cheeks, not from shame, not from fear, but from recognition. Because she knew I was telling the truth. The groom snapped, his voice sharp. "What the hell is this? Who are you two?" "I'm the one she gave her heart to first," I cut in, my voice stronger now, defiant. "The one who knows her in ways you never will. The one she still dreams about when she closes her eyes." A ripple of shock moved through the guests. But Amelia didn't deny it. She didn't move. She just looked at me, trembling, torn apart by the weight of this moment. And then, she whispered my name. It was soft, fragile, but enough to send my entire body trembling. The groom's face darkened, but I hardly noticed him anymore. All I could see was her. All I could hear was the echo of the nights we spent wrapped in each other, the forbidden intimacy that had always been ours alone. The church, the vows, the man, none of it mattered. Because she loved me. And everyone knew it now. Chaos erupted in the church. Guests gasped, whispers spread like wildfire, and the groom's voice roared as he tried to demand an explanation. But Amelia wasn't listening to him. She wasn't listening to anyone. She dropped the bouquet from her trembling hands, the roses scattering across the aisle, and ran, straight past the altar, past the pews, past the shocked faces. Straight toward me. "Amelia!" I breathed, my heart splitting open as she reached me. For a second, I thought she might slap me, scream at me, curse me for ruining her life. Instead, she grabbed my hand, fierce, desperate, and pulled me out of the church doors. The world outside was blinding with sunlight, but all I saw was her. Her breath was shaky, her chest rising and falling beneath the delicate lace of her dress. People shouted behind us, but Amelia tugged me toward the side of the church, into a small corridor tucked away in shadow. The moment the door closed behind us, silence fell. And then she kissed me. It wasn't gentle, wasn't hesitant. It was fire, it was hunger, it was every ounce of forbidden longing we had buried for too long. Her lips crashed against mine, stealing my breath, stealing the ground from under me. I melted into her, my hand sliding to her waist, pulling her closer as the layers of her gown pressed into me. "God, I can't do this without you," she whispered against my mouth, her voice broken, desperate. I tried to move on, to pretend, but you're all I've ever wanted. I cupped her face, my thumbs brushing her tears. "Then don't pretend anymore." Her eyes searched mine, wide and terrified, but also alive in a way I hadn't seen in years. She kissed me again, slower this time, as if savoring the taste of something she thought she had lost forever. My fingers tangled in her hair, pulling her closer, until her soft moan spilled into my mouth and sent shivers racing down my spine. "Amelia," I whispered, my lips trailing down her neck, pressing against the delicate skin that had once been mine to worship. She tilted her head back, gasping, her hands clutching at me as if she might drown without the anchor of my body. Every kiss, every touch carried the weight of years of secrecy, of love denied, of passion locked away. And now it was spilling out of us, unstoppable, uncontrollable. Her wedding dress rustled as my hands slid lower, tracing the curve of her hips. She shivered, pressing against me, her body answering mine with a need too powerful to hide. "You ruined everything," she gasped, her forehead pressed to mine. "No," I murmured, brushing my lips against hers again. "I saved you." And then she kissed me harder, as if to seal the truth between us. The air in that hidden corridor was heavy, thick with the weight of everything we had just unleashed. Her lips were swollen from my kisses, her veil slightly crooked, her cheeks flushed with a kind of wildness I hadn't seen in her since the night she was mine. "Tell me this isn't a mistake," she whispered, her breath hot against my lips. I shook my head, my hand sliding down her bare arm until my fingers laced with hers. "It's the only thing that feels right." She shivered at my words, and then she kissed me again, hard, desperate, her body pressing me back against the wall. Her gown brushed against me, layers of silk and lace barely disguising the heat of her body. My hands roamed down her back, pulling her closer, hungry for every inch of her I had been forced to live without. Her moan slipped into my mouth when I pressed her tighter against me, and she clung to me like I was the air she needed to breathe. The world outside could fall apart, the guests could riot, her groom could come crashing through the doors, and none of it mattered. Right here, in this stolen moment, she was mine again. "I can't believe you came," she breathed, her lips brushing my jaw as she spoke. "I prayed you would, even while I told myself I wanted this wedding. But all I could think about was you, your hands, your mouth, the way you—" Her words broke off into another gasp as my lips traced her neck, finding that one spot that always made her knees weaken. She arched into me, her breath sharp, her hands tangled in my hair as if she never wanted to let go. "I never stopped loving you, Amelia," I whispered against her skin. "Not for a single second." She looked at me then, eyes glistening, mouth trembling, and I knew she was mine, completely, irreversibly. Her hand slid beneath the collar of my dress, her fingers brushing over my shoulder, down to my chest. The forbidden intimacy of her touch sent shivers through me, every nerve alive, screaming for more. "You make me feel alive," she whispered, her lips barely an inch from mine. "And I can't go back to pretending I don't want this." I kissed her again, slower this time, savoring the taste of her as my hands explored the familiar curves of her body. It was both new and achingly familiar, like coming home after being lost for too long. For the first time all day, she wasn't a bride. She wasn't his fiancée. She wasn't bound by expectation or duty. She was just Amelia, my Amelia. And here, with her lips pressed to mine and her body trembling against me, she made her first real choice. She chose me. Her breath came ragged, her body trembling as she leaned into me, her wedding dress bunching where my hands gripped her hips. The silk was smooth, but underneath it, her skin was hot, alive, burning with the same fire that had always lived between us. She kissed me again, deeper this time, her lips parting for me with a hunger that erased the years we had been apart. Her hands roamed my body as if she was memorizing me all over again, desperate and frantic. "We shouldn't," she whispered against my mouth, even as her body pressed harder into mine. "Not here, not now." "Then stop me," I breathed, kissing the corner of her lips, trailing down her throat, tasting the salt of her skin. But she didn't stop me. She gasped, her back arching, her fingers digging into my shoulders as if she wanted me closer, deeper, everywhere. The sounds she made, the soft whimpers, the broken moans, echoed in my chest, pulling me deeper into her. I pushed her gently against the wall, the lace of her dress rustling as my lips explored her collarbone, down to the curve where the gown revealed just enough to tease. She tilted her head back, her veil slipping off, forgotten on the floor. Her hair fell loose in wild strands, framing her flushed face as she looked at me with wide, fevered eyes. "God, you're beautiful," I whispered, my thumb brushing across her trembling lips. Her chest rose sharply, and she caught my hand, pressing a kiss into my palm. "I've missed this, missed you, so much it hurts." Her confession cracked something in me. I pulled her tighter, kissing her with everything I had buried inside me for too long. Her body melted into mine, but her kiss was fierce, claiming, demanding. The forbidden intimacy between us was no longer just memory. It was alive, raw, reckless. My hand slid lower, feeling the shape of her beneath the gown, every curve I had once known as if it were part of me. She shivered at my touch, her lips breaking from mine to let out a sharp, breathless moan that made my heart race. "We're going to get caught," she gasped, though her body betrayed her words by pulling me closer still. "Let them catch us," I murmured, my forehead pressed to hers, my lips brushing hers again. "I want the whole world to know you're mine." Her eyes fluttered shut, her lashes wet with tears, but her smile, oh, that smile, was pure surrender. And in that moment, in the hidden shadows of her almost wedding, Amelia gave herself back to me, completely, dangerously, irrevocably. The fire between us could no longer be contained. Her gown whispered against the stone wall as I pressed her closer, the fabric bunching beneath my fingertips, sliding as if it, too, wanted to be shed. Her lips moved with mine in a fevered rhythm, desperate, hungry, unrestrained. Every kiss was a confession, every touch a declaration of what we had buried too long. She tugged at me, her fingers slipping beneath the neckline of my dress, grazing my skin, sending sparks racing through me. Her hands were shaky, frantic, as if afraid I might vanish if she didn't hold me tightly enough. "I can't stop," Amelia breathed against my lips, her voice trembling with both fear and need. "Then don't," I whispered, my mouth trailing down her jaw, kissing the soft, delicate line of her neck. She shuddered, her body arching into mine, her breath breaking in a sharp gasp when I found the spot that always unraveled her. Her fingers tangled in my hair, pulling me back up to her lips, her kiss desperate, demanding. She was unraveling, piece by piece, and I was falling with her. The forbidden intimacy wrapped around us like a storm, wild and unstoppable. Every inch of her body pressed into mine, every curve, every tremor, reminding me that this was where she belonged. Not at an altar with him. Not behind vows written for someone else. But here, in my arms, in this fire we created together. Her gown loosened where my hands found the delicate ties, the fabric slipping slightly to reveal pale skin that glowed in the dim light. She gasped, her lips parting, her eyes wide as she looked at me, torn between fear and desire. "Amelia," I whispered, brushing my fingers across her bare shoulder, reverent, careful, as if touching something sacred. Her lips curved into the faintest, trembling smile. "Don't stop. Please, don't stop." That plea shattered the last of my restraint. I kissed her harder, deeper, tasting the truth of her surrender as her body yielded to mine. She clung to me, moaning softly into my mouth, her hands roaming my back, pulling me closer until there was no space left between us. The world outside, her groom, the guests, the whispers of scandal, disappeared. There was only us. Only the heat of her breath against my lips, the tremble of her body under my hands, the sound of her broken sighs as she surrendered completely to me. In that hidden space, Amelia wasn't a bride. She wasn't bound by anyone's expectations. She wasn't torn between duty and desire. She was mine. And for the first time in years, we were free enough to love each other the way we always should have, unrestrained, unapologetic, and completely consumed. Her body trembled beneath my touch, her lips swollen from our endless kisses, her chest rising and falling as if she'd run miles just to get here. The satin of her gown slid against my hands, cool and fragile compared to the heat of her skin. Every sound she made, the gasps, the breathless moans, the whispered pieces of my name, pulled me deeper into her, until there was no going back. She pressed herself against me, desperate, needy, as if the years of denial had finally broken into something feral. I could feel the thundering beat of her heart against my chest, wild and unsteady, perfectly mirroring mine. "Say it," I whispered, my lips brushing against hers, our breaths tangling. Her eyes burned into mine, filled with tears and fire. "I'm yours," she breathed, her voice shaking but true. "I've always been yours." The words sent shivers rushing through me, and I kissed her with a ferocity I couldn't hold back. My hands roamed her body as if reclaiming what was already mine, mapping the curves I'd memorized long ago. Her gown loosened further beneath my fingers, slipping just enough to bear more of her, enough to make her whimper against my mouth. Her nails dug into my shoulders, pulling me closer, her breath ragged. "Don't stop. Please, don't ever stop." I couldn't if I tried. She was everywhere, her taste, her scent, her trembling body pressed so tightly against mine that I could no longer tell where I ended and she began. The fire consumed us, unrelenting, forbidden yet undeniable. Every kiss was a promise, every touch a vow stronger than any words she could have spoken at that altar. We were breaking every rule, shattering every chain, and yet it felt more sacred than the wedding she had almost walked into. Her body arched into me, her lips parting in a soft cry that echoed against the stone walls, a sound so raw and intimate it made my heart ache. I held her, kissed her, worshipped her as if she were the only truth in the world. Because she was. When her forehead fell against mine, her breath trembling, her lips barely forming my name, I knew nothing could undo this moment. We had crossed the line completely, there was no pretending, no running back to safety. She was mine again, body and soul. And though the world outside would burn with scandal, judgment, and fury, none of it mattered. Because Amelia had chosen me. And in the heat of her surrender, in the unrestrained intimacy that consumed us, I knew I would burn down every altar, ruin every vow, and fight every battle, just to keep her. The air between us was thick with heat and silence, our bodies trembling as if the fire still raged. Amelia's gown was rumpled, her hair falling wild around her flushed face, her lips swollen from our kisses. She looked undone, and yet, more radiant than she ever had walking down that aisle. For a moment, it was just us. Two women tangled in truth, finally stripped of all the lies we'd been forced to wear. But then, reality pressed at the edges. The muffled sound of voices outside, the hurried footsteps echoing in the church, the inevitable crash of consequences waiting for us. Amelia pulled back just slightly, her hand still clutching mine as if she was terrified of losing me again. Her eyes were wide, shimmering with both fear and certainty. "What have we done?" she whispered. I cupped her face, my thumb brushing away the tear that slipped free. "We've finally been honest." She leaned into my touch, closing her eyes, and when she opened them again, there was no hesitation left. "I can't marry him. I never could. But now everyone knows." "Let them know," I said fiercely, my voice steady despite the storm in my chest. "Let the whole world see what we are. I don't care what they think. I just want you." Her lips trembled into a broken smile. "You always ruin everything, don't you?" "Only the things that were wrong to begin with," I teased softly, pressing a kiss to her forehead. The sound of the door rattling against its hinges pulled us back to reality. Shouts filled the air, her family, the groom, voices raised with confusion and anger. She flinched, but I held her tighter. "This won't be easy," she murmured, her eyes flicking toward the door. "No," I agreed, meeting her gaze. "But it'll be worth it." And in that fragile moment, she believed me. I saw it in the way she leaned forward, kissing me softly, tenderly this time, not the kiss of desperation, but of choice. The kiss of a woman who was no longer running. The door burst open then, light and noise spilling into our hidden sanctuary. Gasps erupted at the sight of us, her gown disheveled, her lips still red from mine, our hands intertwined. But Amelia didn't let go. She lifted her chin, her fingers tightening around mine, and for the first time, she didn't hide. "She's the one I love," Amelia said, her voice steady despite the chaos. "She always has been." And just like that, everything broke, her wedding, their expectations, the life she had been forced to choose. But in that breaking, something else was born. Us. Not a secret. Not a forbidden shadow. But a love fierce enough to ruin a wedding and brave enough to face the world. Because I had loved her first. And now, finally, I loved her last.